you want. Okay, that's Love and Do What You Want, chapter 13.
15.
Excuse me, 15, thank you.
That's what you just said.
I'm glad you're here to catch those things. Wow.
Noxious, isn't it?
Iona and I were talking a little bit and I don't know reasons, but Bonnie is unable to facilitate. And I suggested the idea that, just not the thought of inviting others to facilitate. And as I look quickly here, I've seen, Ruben facilitate. I know Glad is at Cornerstone. Thomas has been for what, a couple of years now here in this area. So a lot of that. And it's something I'll bring up to maybe to Iona for a more of a generalized thing, but I want to plant the seed. Um, Facilitating can feel a bit intimidating, I think, to somebody new. But what my experience is it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to close my eyes in invitation and ask to be guided and serve in God's plan. I typically will go through a process of reading and trying to receive and understand. Uh, and then that morphs in from trying to, it's an inner acknowledgement to Jesus primarily, but Mary, acknowledging these are your words and ideas. And as soon as I make that personal thought and invitation part of my mind, uh, there's a felt dialogue that begins to be invited there. And it's an invitation to let ideas and thoughts enter directly from, in this case, Jesus's mind into mine, and insights and revelations to be a part of that process. The reading for me turns into just filled with pauses. As it becomes a dialogue, I want to receive the idea, the thought, and let images and stuff tie into something in my life that makes it real. So that's my process. What the last thing I would add, and again, I'll try to capture all this with Iona and maybe for a group setting, another group setting, um, is how it can serve to take the facilitator deeper into their own journey. And an opportunity even to work on something maybe they're struggling with a bit and filter it through that way. So that's enough of that. Love and do what you want. I've gone through this quite a bit this morning, and I am really kind of looking forward, more than kind of looking forward to hearing your angle and your depth to fill us in. But this is a pretty rich chapter. So let me see here if we can just get quiet for just a second. And Glad I would like to keep you put to work here for a minute, if you wouldn't mind, and reading that and trust your instincts as to where to stop.
Thank you, Frank. I'd love to do that. Beautiful message. Love and do what you want. Section 1, form and content. Let us continue now with a matter of the relationship. We have removed the veil that sometimes stood between the truth and your vision. Remembering again that form is not content, and that love can be hidden behind any form while never ceasing to be itself. The forms that human relationships take and the value given them are within the plane of expression. They are a result of complex mental, cultural, subjective, and collective constructs, which is why at various times in history they were conceived very differently. Believing in cultural values is the same error as identifying with a particular gender or personality. Relationships are intended to contribute to the purpose of life, a means of giving and receiving love. Remember, there is no other reason for anything than to extend love eternally. You might now argue that if a being extends love because of who they are, there might be no space to receive it. That would be true if giving and receiving were separate, but they are not. One cannot be conceived without the other. Life flows, extends, pulsates, moves. How could that be true if there were only the ability to give and not receive? I'm going to read one more paragraph and stop then, okay? Any relationship may or may not serve the purpose of love, which is not a matter of form, but of intention. Relationships of all kinds may be established, but not necessarily for love. Indeed, you can form alliances with partners, with nations, creating bonds based on interests and conveniences, as well as on many other things far from love. But you can also relate in order to give and receive love, which has nothing to do with appearance. And I'll stop there. Thank you, Frank.
And I don't know if you have anything you want to share right away, or certainly get a chance to settle and come back in, but you have the
Let's settle it.
opportunity for both.
Let's hear it one more time. I think it'd be good to do
Okay.
that. Thank you. Yeah.
And my pattern here, I'll admit, is shifting from feminine to masculine. Ruben, would you reread that, please?
Thank you, Frank. Love and do what you want. Section 1, Form and Content. Let us continue now with the matter of the relationship. We had removed the veil that sometimes stood between the truth and your vision. Remembering again, the form is not content, and the love can be hidden behind any form while never ceasing to be itself. The forms that human relationships take and the value given them are within the plane of expression. They are the result of complex mental, cultural, subjective, and collective constructs, which is why at various times in history they were conceived very differently. Believing in cultural values is the same error as identifying with a particular gender or personality. Relationships are intended to contribute to the purpose of life, a means of giving and receiving love. Relationships are intended to contribute to the purpose of life, a means of giving and receiving love. Remember, there is no other reason for anything than to extend love eternally. You might argue now that if a being extends love because of who they are, there might be no space to receive it. That will be true if giving and receiving were separate, but they are not. One cannot be conceived without the other. Life flows, extends, pulsates, moves. How could that be true if there were only the ability to give and not receive? Any relationships may or may not serve the purpose of love, which is not a matter of form, but of intention. Relationships of all kinds may be established, but not necessarily for love. Indeed, you can form alliances with partners, with nations, creating bonds based on interests and conveniences, as well as on many other things far from love. But you can also relate in order to give and receive love, which has nothing to do with appearance. And in my own experience, the first paragraph, form and content, and it say, love can be hidden behind any form while never ceasing to be itself. And in the past weeks, probably the last months, and I'm not the only one seeing this or feeling this with, I can say, Donald Trump. She decided to confront, because I did it too. I did it too. Every time that I used to see him, it just bring back a lot of stuff. But something's happened. He has like a zipper over here. He unzipped, and I was able to see the light in him. I was like, so behind every form, behind every thought, the light is there.
Mm.
And for me, in my own experience, it's getting more and more and more and more of the, wow, light see only light. It doesn't see nothing else than light. So it doesn't have borders. It just goes straight, straight beyond the forms, beyond any illness, beyond anything. It's just, that's what I love, to be in the spirit. So thank you. I'm complete.
Thank
Hello,
you,
Deborah.
And know that hello, the yellow hand. Good morning, Deborah. Came up a little late. Glad was first in the sense that she wanted to hear this a second time. So we'll start with Glad and then come back to Charles.
Okay, thank you, Frank. By the way, Deborah, we're on chapter 15, beginning of chapter 15. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Joan.
I was looking at this idea at the bottom of page 84. And you might argue now that if a being extends love because of who they are, there might be no space to receive it. That would be true if giving and receiving were separate, but they're not. One cannot be conceived without the other. And, you know, it's interesting because one of the reasons I love to come to these classes is because there actually is an active reception of each one of us, right? And it helps us to extend more. The more we're received, the more the density within us is able to be released. But at the same time, I do understand what this is saying, because I think when we're able and willing to express where we're coming from the love that is, as this is saying, hidden behind every form, we don't know what seeds we're planting. Even though there appears to be no receiving on the other side, we have no idea what's happening. Because especially now, I believe we're in a period of, and I think Iona uses this word the other day, there's a permeation, is that right? Is that a word? We're permeating, you know, our energy is permeating the form. And that is what is occurring. That's the miracle that's occurring in this moment, this time, that we're actually bringing light into form, and it's transmuting the density, and we're discovering not only in ourselves the light body that we are, but we're sparking that in others, even if they don't seem to be receiving. So I just thought I'd comment on that because that's my experience. I love. I was working with a client yesterday, and bless her heart, she heard me at so many levels. She was just crying through the whole thing, and at the same time, there was a place she could not go, or she said she could not go. But I believe we touched on that place, whether or not she knew it or not. And it may be in her sacred privacy, in her own quiet moment in herself, that she actually feels safe enough to open to that place where she can surrender completely, which is where we're trying to go. Anyway, I am complete. Thank you.
You know, I had one quick thought, Glad.
Yeah.
When we plant a seed, one of the cool things is trusting it's up to them to decide when they're going to water and fertilize if they do. Charles.
Wow, what a joy. Thank you so much. Because it really speaks volumes to my share this morning with my daughter on the telephone. I talked about my experience of dissolving into presence, but I used the phrase of an iceberg into the water as it dissolves into itself, from the form to the formless. And my daughter, you almost, there's a light bulb going off. And I feel it inside me when I feel it inside her. And we come to the place that there's a beautiful presence deep within our own being, the formless presence of love itself that's at the center of every human, every living being that has a heart within it, even the heart of a tree. Every heart, there's a living presence that gives rise to the design, gives rise to the wonderfulness that each one gives expression to. And she was thinking of volunteering at the Humane Society. I said, what a wonderful way of really accenting that presence, because animals can gravitate to that real quick. They don't have all these things that they've placed upon us. Your daughter, your father, your mother, your lover, your friend, your brother, your sister. They just see you as an expression. They see themselves as an expression. And if you can get centered, heart-centered within that expression, you know, when you go to the shelter and you're being with them, they don't feel like they're in the shelter. They feel like they're being free to share a love, a presence. And me and my daughter just sat there, I guess for a good half hour on the phone. And we'll be getting again Thursday, but this is my introduction for me of what it truly means to dissolve into presence. And as you were sharing with your client, sometimes we things that we don't allow ourselves to dissolve into it right at the moment. And I spoke to that of my daughter. I said, you see me as a father. You've given me roles. You've given me different meanings in your life. While those are present, it's really hard to feel a genuine because they tend to take a block between our relationship. But once those start to dissolve and we feel that real bond of love, then wow, I'm looking forward to that relationship growing more deeper and more beautiful. And along with others that I've realized that I've assigned different roles and different reasons for their relationship, as it says in the paragraph. We give different reasons for every relationship we're into. But beneath all that is love itself. the true foundation of all relationships. So this is something that's new in my life and new in my practice. And I hear it coming from everyone here. So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Deborah.
Yes,
Good to see
thank
you,
you,
by the
Charles.
way.
It's great to be here. I haven't been here for a while, obviously. I just want to thank you, Charles, for your words and the flow of those words and the flow of the water behind you, because I was feeling that water as you were speaking, and water is the consciousness of love. Water is consciousness, and when she is flowing through a stream or a river, she is that love, and she nurtures and nourishes everything along her path. And when she comes up with a big boulder in the middle of the river or the stream, she finds a way to surround it and understand it. In the contact of the water and the rock, she comes to know the rock, and the rock knows her. And there is a softening that happens. And over time, we don't see it on a day-to-day basis. We could go to that river and look at the same water, well, different water running over the same rock, and never see that it's changing. But it does change. It softens and it smooths itself out, and all the sharp edges eventually go away. And every time we meet somebody in that frequency and consciousness of love, they feel that, whether they know it or not. And it starts to soften them. And there are seeds that are planted. And the thing that the ironic piece is that when we let ourselves surrender to love, to that one thing that we all want most, we become more spacious. And in that spaciousness, there is more room to receive, because we empty ourselves out to that consciousness, and we are able to receive even more. And that's something that none of us can really know until we experience it. But that is just one more miracle in this whole process that we're in. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. You know, as I went through my process of reading, and then it turned into an acknowledgement that these are Jesus' words, and to hear them as such, I was struck by this idea right off the bat. Love can be hidden behind any form. Boy, all the relationships that I could pull up to my mind, and all of the structures that I have attached to them. And what's happening now for us, especially amongst the sharing we have with each other, because we are even practicing, maybe subconsciously, the collapsing of structures. Any one of those things that we put a label on that we begin to see and recognize, and we just look at, and I think it's the knowing, and I mean that in a felt way. It's the knowing that you share my heart and I share yours. It's that getting down to that awareness of we are the same being. And so that part really helps. And the idea of I can take those individual pieces of a person. I've got one in mind, and I won't give details too much on that, except to say my difficulty in my reaction to what I'm seeing doesn't belong to this person at all. It belongs to me. One of the ironies of that is that as I let those structures collapse, that may even be involving setting a boundary But the difference between setting a boundary from a place of love and a place of judgment is night and day. And then the last observation, so I don't take up too much time here. What did I like this? Life flows, extends, pulsates, and moves. And it dawned on me, you know what? I think the earth pulsates. I think I've read that somewhere.
Mhm.
So I asked my guide here, Alexa, and she said the earth pulsates every 26 seconds. So that's a heartbeat that we share. And if I think of that in terms of your heart's beating and sharing, there's no stories, there's no judgments. That's the gift of that pause. And I'm going to call on Christina, but I want to check real quick. And you don't have the book, just checking. Okay. I was going to put you on the spot again, but I remembered. Christina.
No, I just so appreciate the idea that in coming together, it is through relationship that we find our purpose in living, and that purpose being love, giving and receiving that love. And in these gatherings, when we're reading together, as Deborah said, we empty our vessels of love through our energy sharing of just embracing each and every word or feeling that's shared amongst us. And that just opens us up to receiving more and more. It's like an ongoing, it's almost like a windmill or a water mill where you see it empties around, and as it's emptying it's refilling, and that's something that's so beautiful about the mornings that we have together that are very special. And it's our purpose. That's what we're here, is to love. and and lucky for us, we can and are. That's all I have to say.
Spoken like a true ranch girl. That windmill is a perfect analogy there. Ruben.
And the third paragraph, page 84, in the middle, it says relationships are intended to contribute to the purpose of life, a means of giving and receiving love. Remember, Ruben, there is no other reason for anything than to extend love eternally. And for me, in my own experience as a child of God, as a mind, as a spirit, even as a physical representation, those three together, the physical, the mind, and the spirit, to get there. There's no more separation. That makes me the Christ mind, a child of God. The physical, the mind, and the spirit to get there. And that to get there, what is holding all this stuff together is love. Love holds everything. And it is now is a relationship between the physical, that's the universe, and this physical body and every cell, and the spirit, and the mind. It is a relationship there. And everything, now I know, everything starts with me and everything ends with me. So the separation starts with me, the separation ends with me, and that's when I was able to embrace these three guys. The whole physical universe, the mind, and the spirit, being held by love. It is a constant dialogue between the well of the spirit with everything. I don't have to think. I just need to stay in love. I just had to extend. And I say, at the moment I extend, Ruben is gone, becomes love. Love is extending itself to everything. Love is extending itself to the spirit, to the mind, into the form. I don't have to do nothing else than, like Charles say, disappear, vanish in love. That's it. That is eternal life. So thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Ruben. I just want to share what I experienced, and it's not just Ruben, it's everybody here. When I just pause when somebody's coming on to speak and close my eyes for a second with the invitation to listen more closely. When I open my eyes again, I see you differently. And we really help each other do that. Glad, I believe you were next.
Thanks, Frank. Actually, that speaks to what I wanted to say. Uh, Giving and receiving are one in truth. Lesson 108 is my favorite lesson, and my even my email is one in truth. So I've been aware of this idea for so long, and it's been such a an active role in my awakening, if I can put it that way, because it is an activation, actually, that idea. I also served for many years at doing energy work, as I say, camouflaging myself as a massage therapist so I could be an energy worker, you know. And I found so often that people are so close to receiving. They don't allow that receiving to occur. I mean, when we talk about the Course in Miracles, this is about removing the obstacles to the awareness of love's presence. Those are the obstacles, are the awareness, are the blocks to the awareness of the ability to receive truly and completely. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, for a long time, and I think as human beings, we tend to look at those two things as separate, giving and receiving. But when we really recognize that they're one, that they're absolutely one, then it's not about receiving and then extending. It happens automatically. When I receive totally, I'm extending automatically. There's no time, there's no separation between that at all. And it becomes a practice. For me personally, it has always been easier to give than to receive. So the practice now for me is really to focus on the receiving, because I know the extension is already going to happen. I don't have to work at that anymore. It's automatic. It's clear that that's the way it is. So yes, I love this chapter. It's beautiful that we're speaking to that, because that is what relationship is, isn't it? Is the ability to receive from each other. It's the listening to each other, the receiving from each other, and automatically extending back to each other. The love that's underneath all of that, the love that is actually what giving and receiving as one is. So there. Thank you.
Beautiful, Glad. This really shows you how my mind works, because I always do in terms of visions. As you were saying that, boy, I remember when I first was able to work and earn money that I could buy Christmas gifts.
Mhm.
And what a joy it was to give that to somebody, watch their joy, and guess who was receiving instantaneously. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
flash from the past there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for eliciting that.
Yeah.
Charles, I believe you were next, and then Dominique.
Thank you. What a joy. You spoke to it, Frank, when you mentioned earlier about when you opened your eyes, you saw something new. And in love, I'm realizing now that if I bring my history into what I am seeing, I am putting walls up and seeing from memory rather than a present feeling of love that is so new and so fresh and so alive that when someone speaks, they speak of that love. It just the interest and intrigue and the delight and the joy of being there and experiencing that relationship. It's not so much the words they speak, but the joy and the love in which they share with that give a refreshing newness. Because I always, when I see something, then, oh, well, that's my mother, my brother, my sister. I have history. I have history. I have history. Now, when I dissolve into the presence, it's like I'm now opening up to new way of being with each and every relationship, regardless of how old that relationship is, regardless of how much that relationship means to me. It's dissolving into something brand new. Even in my old relationships with my old partners I used to have, I'm feeling the new relationship bubbling up inside of me. And it's exciting. It's coming from deep, deep within. And it just feels so brand new and so like I've never seen before. And to me, that's very inviting, where my life, my past is changing as well as my future.
Yeah.
Because my history is being filled with that love that's renewing all the relationships that I thought I had memories from. Realizing now, I just didn't see them through the eyes of love. I just saw them through the eyes of, you know, of what I thought I saw. And so love is showing me a new life, both in my past, in my future, but in the present moment now. And oh, it's something brand new. Thank you so much uh, to be part of the new. Um, I still have memories that I hang on to because of my investment and my interest in them, but at least I'm aware of them now. At least I'm aware of my investments I've given them. And I can slowly dissolve that when I feel ready to. Thank you. I'm complete.
Well, that's perfect, actually, Charles. You know, even here, you see somebody come on the screen and not even realize you have a history that comes with it attached in your mind there. But that is a real opportunity to realize, you know what, we're experiencing miracles all the time. Every time we pause and close our eyes and open them and see that person differently, that's a miracle. And it collapses structures in real time. Pretty soon it just happens naturally, I'm told. And we sustain it. Dominique?
I haven't raised my hand for a long, long time on a Zoom. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there is not only amazing safety being with all of you, but it's also my true essence. It's really the reflection. Every one of you is a reflection of what I've been, what I am, and my DNA, and every cell of my being is vibrating every time I hear my brother and sister who comes from the truth of pure love. And I have to say that today I couldn't hold back because my experience I had last month I had a surgery who I've been wondering and decided I wasn't going to, because my life has been a nightmare after 2 past surgery. So this one, I was doing everything I could to say absolutely not. And then I was in a lifestyle, and I think I was Tuesday with Deborah, no, with Glad. And suddenly my brain, my space opened completely, and I said, I am totally ready. I can have the surgery. There is nothing who's holding me back to make it successfully and be going as in constant and absolute confidence. And we had a little session with Glad, and she said, and she helped me to work on my higher self, and I'm ready. And then we planned that Glad, Deborah was supposed to be, but Glad was there, and Deborah wanted, but Glad was there, and the gift, it was like a miracle for me. And I think this surgery went like one of the highest and most holy day of my life, because the bonding with spirit and with the light being around in the room, and with the presence and the transcendence of love, the purest from the people who were coming and working on me and offering me, bringing me the most beautiful rose, my favorite color, and set it on my belly. But the presence of Glad and her giving was received in a way that opened the gate of heaven for me to know that I'm not this brokenness, limited and incredibly crushed by life. But I was glad we even brought, everything. Even my best friend who passed and with an amazing divine feminine light being, she came in the room, and the laughing between us, waiting for they put me completely to sleep, was something which shifted my life from knowing what it felt to be descending to the depths of the broken being, to having the fullness of joy of life, to know what I am here for. And I just want to say to Glad that this day, because of her giving, I just carry her and with me, and all my sister and brother, with a pure heart, forever in the dance of the oneness of the presence of the light and God and the divine oneness. So thank you, Frank.
Oh, wow, Dominique, I've got so much going through my head right now. And this is always true in a group setting, when somebody gets true and says what's really in their heart, even if it feels uncomfortable, it opens the door for the rest of us. And some of you have shared some things going on with health, and then didn't raise your hand much after that. But you know what we got to see? We got to see your smile radiating even when your hand didn't go up. And what a gift that is to us, truly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, those of you that have the bravery to say what's in your heart. And Deborah, you must be prescient today, because I was going to see if you had the book to read, but we'll let you start with what your comment is.
And I do have the book to read. So
Hot
I
dog.
just I just want to thank Dominique for everything that you just shared and everyone else. And what this proves is that when we give love freely and just open up, that we do feel joy from that and we receive. And so as the cycle of giving and receiving is completed through each one of us and collectively in our circle, it becomes sharing. And sharing is always magnified and multiplied. And there's always enough when we share. And so we're just sharing that one love that we all are. And the cycle of giving and receiving is completed in that. The cycle and the reunion of masculine and feminine comes together again in perfect harmony, because that's what it's supposed to do. just like in that picture behind you, Charles, of the moonlight on the water, the light, even though the moon gives off feminine energy, even when the sun's out and we see the sparkling on the water, the light, which is masculine, and the water, which is feminine, come together in union, and it's absolutely magical. It's sparkling. It's beautiful. And that's the process that we're all in, is doing that within ourselves so that we can share that with each other. So thank you.
Deborah, can you just take a little, well, maybe a big deep breath and settle into this reading and take us to the end, starting at Embodiments of Love? We'll see if we can get all the way through it once, and we'll see what we're able to do after that.
Starting at
Embodiments of Love, that's on page 85, second full paragraph.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Mm.
Embodiments of love are not interested in form beyond its ability to express content. They certainly never reject form, for they know that expression is as holy as the being that is in harmony with it. And they vividly remember that being and expression are a unit. One cannot exist without the other, so there is no reason for concern. They simply enjoy creating new forms of love. Making form consonant with the being of pure love that you are is the function of every embodiment of love. I'm going to read that again. Making form consonant with the being of pure love that you are is the function of every embodiment of love. No action is needed except to be who you really are. The rest will be added automatically. Remember, as inside, so outside. The difference between the relationships lived in the new humanity and those lived as if separate from Source lies in their purpose. Some of the reasons for relationships in the past include the need to feel special or to create a refuge in the midst of the storm of chaos and fear, giving you a false sense of identity or helping you to survive. To move from egocentric relationships to holy or enlightened ones requires a change of intention. Naturally, this is not possible when there is fear. But in the age of the heart, the age in which you find yourself now, all fear is being left behind. Using is replaced by being. That is, you no longer relate based on the usefulness that a relationship may have, no matter how much it may seem, because because of the ability to be yourself, the ability to know the love you are and to express, give, and receive it. Mm. Well, that was it was beautiful, absolute truth, and this whole question of fear. Glad, and actually Dominique too already know this, but I had a dream a couple of nights ago where I was talking to a group of friends all sitting around a table in the dream, and people were talking about things that they were doing that in many cases I've been trying to do and haven't yet succeeded in. And they were all talking about their success. And I got this moment of inspiration, hopeful inspiration that, okay, if all of these people can do this, so can I. And immediately, I mean, it was almost simultaneous with that flash of hope came a tsunami of fear, actual terror. And in this dream, I sat and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And I was experiencing all of that, but I was also the witness. I was witnessing myself experience that. And what I saw as I witnessed myself is that there was no sound coming out of me in these deep, deep sobs. It was a silent pain that I'd held for so long that there was no sound to it. And the only sound came when I was sobbing so deeply that I couldn't breathe and I would choke. And so there was the choking, but that was it. There was no sobs, no sounds of the crying, and no tears. I think I'd already cried them all, which isn't necessarily funny, but it's good that I can laugh about it now. But it was so profound. And what I was aware of in the dream was that everything I had just released, all that fear, all that profound depth of silence that I'd been holding, that was not serving me any longer, was right in front of me. It didn't go anywhere. And I tuned into it and I understood what it was. And that I had killed parts of myself off over my lifetime because it didn't feel safe to be who I was. And so I loved all of those parts of me back to life, welcomed them home, took them in, and integrated them. It felt like it was more of initiation than a dream. And it was really profound. And this fear that comes up when what we want most is love and it doesn't appear to be available, we tend to think that we're the ones who are broken. And that's just never been true. Not one of us have ever been broken. We've just had experiences that gave us permission to remember who we are and to be here in this moment saying everything that we're saying and feeling everything that we're feeling. And it's just about as beautiful as it gets. So thank you.
Yeah, Deborah, I just was struck because I think you demonstrated the elevated self, the part of you that was able to see you in that suffering and be with you in that suffering, became one in wholeness,
Mhm.
and the insights and love that was extended to the world from that. That's this one sentence.
Yeah.
No action is needed except to be who we really are. But we have to pause and find that part of us to join with, to be us in wholeness. And then I think, I'm going to ask you guys a question real quick because we're at the end of time. And Charles, we'll get you in. but I think I'm going to request that we do this chapter over again next week. What do you guys think? Okay, I'm going to make that suggestion anyway, and we'll see where it goes. But thank you, Deborah. That was beautiful. Charles.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Wow. Talk about dissolving into essence from it's like that last line in the paragraph says they simply enjoy creating new forms of love. And taking all those forms that we've had that brought about a lot of discord and uncertainty. Like form, when you have a baby, it takes 9 months to have a baby. Okay. In our imaginations, we can have a baby right away. We can have all sorts of things happen right away, just like that. But in form, in this reality, it's time, and time allows for doubt, for uncertainty. It allows for all these things to open up. And with forgiveness, I'm realizing as you were sharing your thing, with forgiveness comes along and shrinks that time to a point of realization that it can dissolve all that information back into a present moment where it no longer has the effect it used to have. So I really see a lot of my life and my struggles are creating a new ways for me to experience form that I've never seen before. And that was a beautiful example of how you could experience something so brand new that at one time was so scary and uncertain and full of doubt. And what a joy to see you champion yourself in such a beautiful way. And for me to do the same for myself as well. I truly do enjoy that. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Charles. What I'd like to do now is just kind of, I don't know, paint a picture. This idea of pausing for a minute to just let the real you arise for us to see. That's the collective consciousness. And we're here very specifically this, I call it the Sedona family, but we pull them all the way from Canada and other places. Still the Sedona family. Uh, our individual and collective energy, let's take that into a moment of quietness, stillness, embrace it for ourselves and each other. And as that grows, extend it to the world that needs it so much. I'll just take a few minutes for that. Thank you all for your contribution to this. Open your eyes, not your eyes, open your arms wide. Give and receive to the entire world. Thank you all so much. Carry your creation into this day and make it beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Much love all. Thank you.
Thank you. That was capital P powerful today. That was just amazing. Thank you.
Bless you,
Yeah.
dears.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you for
loves.
being in.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sincerely.
thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, loves.
Bye.